It's been more than 48 hours since Italy's glacier collapsed. 5 climbers remain missing. 7 bodies have been found so far, but the hopes of finding survivors now fading. Our next report getting you the complete story.
The glacier collapse in Europe's Alps is a reminder to humanity, a dangerous awakening of what climate change means. With rising temperatures and no cap on emissions, we are triggering disasters that we know nothing about. Experts say a glacier collapse on the Marmolada was least expected. They were aware that decades-old glacier was melting, but Italy's harsh heat wave prompted a disaster that the people weren't prepared for.
My brother-in-law was an alpine guide and very experienced. If there had just been a danger alert, he and my sister would not have gone. The husband and wife would not have left their 2 sons at home. Is there an authority that should stop people from going up the mountain, given the weather that day and on previous days? Where is this authority?
Much of Italy has been baking in an early summer heat wave, coupled with the worst drought in 70 years. And during the winters, there was unusually little snowfall. All this is making Europe's Alps more unstable and dangerous. Normally freezing Marmolada is witnessing up to 10 degrees Celsius. After a major volume of the glacier was lost, experts say that the glacier will cease to exist in the next 25 to 30 years.
When we arrived at the avalanche, we saw a disaster. I realized the dimensions of this enormous avalanche. We found people in need of help because they were injured and other people who were dead. For these mountains and this period, the temperatures are not normal. I think that it is caused by global climate change. There is not a specific cause, but I am not a glaciologist or a geologist. I don't have the experience to give the specifics or a technical opinion. I think that clearly temperature was a factor.
The Marmolada will remain closed to tourists for the time being. Some bodies pulled out from deep snow were visibly torn apart. With the peak still unstable, rescuers have been using thermal drones and helicopters to look for those missing. A layer of dust and debris is limiting the effectiveness of searches. But time is running out and hope is getting slimmer. Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi has blamed climate change for the catastrophe. But the big question is, what is he doing to avoid another glacier from crashing down? Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
This glacier collapse raises a new concern. Effects of climate change were clear as day, but this has unmasked the extent of these effects. Experts are saying the collapse is proof that glaciers don't just melt away. If temperatures are hot enough, then they can break and collapse as well. And with no appropriate action against climate change, these incidents are going to happen more often than predicted. A glaciologist and avalanche expert from Milan decoding it. Take a look.
I was really surprised because until yesterday, if you would have asked me to think about a risky glacier, for sure, I would not have cited the Marmolada one, because the Marmolada glacier is relatively at a low elevation, so it is heavily impacted by ice melting and retreats. And so usually it was considered by glaciologists as a sort of typical receding and almost disappearing glacier, where everything and every glaciological process was going to end, to finish in these years. And so it was really sudden surprise to see that this kind of glacier, so heavily impacted by climate change, has reacted in such an unpredictable and deep way, I mean.
Climate change is global. Warming affects the whole alpine arc, the whole world. So this is a rare phenomenon. The fact that it happened in a scorching summer with abnormal temperatures must be a wake-up call to understand that these phenomena, while rare, are possible that they are extremely destructive. If we do not change and if we do not take decisive measures to counter the effects of climate change, they will become more and more frequent, like certain types of landslide, like certain types of floods, or even avalanches.
Probably the temperatures are so high and so persistent that many glaciers located below the elevations at which the 0 degrees temperature is found, which is always higher and higher, well, those glaciers are really weakening their structure also in some ways that are very difficult to predict, because if the processes are occurring inside the glacier, it is hard, almost impossible to predict where this kind of collapses can happen until the very last moment, and maybe it's too late.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.